Anyway, so this week, and we wrote it. If you guys are signed up for the newsletter, you kind of got a preview of this. But what we're going to talk about this week is reaching the unreachable. The person that you have in your life that you feel like you just don't have a good way to share your faith with them. And this came up from something that Mike ran into here within the last few weeks. Mike, I don't know if you want to go ahead and kind of give a explanation.
Yeah. It's not, a friend of our of my wife's family passed away here a couple weeks ago, and I was gonna go talk to him. I was gonna go talk to him about Jesus and whatever, and I never did it, and it's because I perceived it as just being a lose-lose conversation. Like, it was just, I knew it wasn't gonna go well. I knew it was not gonna be received well, and I didn't even give it a shot. And, like, usually I just kind of let that stuff slide, and I'm not real hard on myself about it. But, like, when he passed away, I was like, why didn't I just go over there? Why? I mean, what was the worst going to happen? He'll not like me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If family not going to like me, which is too bad.
They probably don't.
No, they probably don't like me anyway. That's the bonus part, But I don't know. Like, I was thinking about it, and I thought, why do I have such a big hang up about this? And what's the? I was looking for a statute. Like, I'm a black and white, lines and limits guy. Like, what exactly does the Lord say in this? Because I know, or do I even know? On how this conversation is going to go. I thought about it for 3 days. When I first thought about just going over and talking to him. It was just going to be a simple conversation, And I thought, well, this is no big deal. I should be able to do this, And then I thought, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to bring it up, because I know as soon as I say, so how's you and God doing?
Yeah.
And then it goes, what? And then and it turns foul, and I'm like I just knew. I knew as soon as I uttered one sentence, like, our relationship would never be the same again. Mm-hmm. It would never even be palatable. It would be like, oh great, here comes Mike. And I thought, do I have a problem with that? Should I have a problem with that? I shouldn't have a problem with that. I should be completely okay with this. Mm-hmm. But I still didn't do it. It wasn't enough to convince me to go over there. And it just made me sad. Like, I don't know where he stood or what he had going, I don't know anything about that, but I just know that I wanted to at least talk to him about it. And I didn't do it. And it just made me sad. I was really disappointed that I didn't go do it, and myself that I didn't go do it. And, whether it would have done anything or done nothing, or whether it needed to be done or not done, all questions I don't know the answer to, but I know that I wanted to do it, and I completely chickened out.
You talked yourself out of it.
I completely talked myself out of it.
I think we all do that. It drives me. I've done it too. It drives me crazy. There's 900 reasons not to, but there's one really good reason to.
Yeah.
And somehow we talk ourselves out of all the things you said. Well, they won't like me. Change the relationship. It'll be awkward. What if they ask something I can't answer?
Yeah.
And I've found after doing the same thing multiple times lately, I just decided to quit beating around the bush, and I just come right out now. How are you and God?
Right.
if they're in a situation where they know.
Right. Well, that's the thing I thought is that I think that's the most disappointing thing to me, is because I thought, after it's all said and done, I thought, what was the worst thing that was going to happen? Like, honestly, the worst thing. Were they going to blackball you, not talk to you anymore, consider you some kind of freak of nature? Whatever. If I have to be considered an outcast dude on Jesus' behalf, I can shoulder that. It's going to stink. It's going to be awkward. But I'm pretty sure I can shoulder that.
I went to a friend's hospital room recently. It was a relative of a friend, and kind of as a favor, and have the pastor come, and evidently I was the fourth pastor that day that had been in there, and she just was diagnosed with some pretty serious news, and boy, you might not have much long, and that whole thing. So they're already thinking final, like, wow, this could be it, whatever you've thought in the past. Right now you're thinking, well, I better,
right.
What if I'm wrong?
Right.
And so I just came out, now, because I'm a pastor, at least I've used the buzzword, hey, as a pastor. So I'm not coming as a friend. I'm not coming as a freaky guy.
Right, out of left field.
Yeah. Just by the way, I'm a pastor, and here's a question I really need to ask you. How are you doing with God? and had a great conversation. And it turned out, hey, she said we're really good. Maybe hadn't been in the past, but right now things are great. And I talked to the family afterwards, and they were just like, we're so glad you asked that because nobody else did. All these pastors were coming in, and they're all like, well, how's the weather? Oh man, yeah. Well, what's your favorite food? Just total surface stuff. And I thought, that's been me many times because you don't want to ask the awkward,
No.
And I finally decided it's not worth it. I mean,
what better time than then to ask it though? There's no other better time, I don't think.
Yeah. And I've had that feeling multiple times that you're describing, that I just kick myself, and I guess you have it enough. You finally just say, whatever, just do it.
Yeah.
And so maybe next time you'll just do it. Who knows?
I think I'm gonna have to, because I don't think I can do that again.
It's horrible.
Like I don't know. Like, and it doesn't. I wouldn't say that like depressed me beyond all belief all week, but like anytime that I had some time by myself, it is like the that would pop into my head. Like, man, I'm such a jerk.
Maybe
when you go into to talk to somebody about Christ, and the answer comes back, what do I need him for? Your conversation's almost, you probably got a couple more shots left, but I mean, when it's shut down, like, I don't have time for God here. I don't have room for him in my life. That's the one thing that, and we were talking about this before the show started, like that, the only thing that keeps you from being in God's grace is you and your choice to be unavailable to him,
Right.
And so that's the God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. When you say, Lord, I need something, that the Lord knows what you need anyway. And as soon as you acknowledge that he's the one that can provide it to you, you've opened up an opportunity and a door that you'll never want to close, But as soon as you say, things are going pretty good, I can handle my own affairs. I got my own business taken care of, I don't see the point in making this big leap.
Right.
And being the awkward guy who has to go talk to other people about Christ, this seems like a real drag because I can make regular friends. There's no reason for me to do this. You know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like I don't know. For some reason, that made a lot of sense to me. On when you're going to talk to somebody, just realize where your line is. Like, you're not over there to be the whipping post. You're over there to try to introduce, or just talk to somebody about the existence of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ain't digging on it, then whatever, shake the dust and out.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't mean give up directly. Like, you walk in and go, hey, Steve, oh, I got to go. You don't like Jesus, obviously. Look at your house.
Guess I'm done with you.
But I don't know. I thought a lot about it this week, and I don't know.
I think sometimes the hardest people to talk to about Jesus is people who have a pretty good life. Everything's comfortable. They've got a good job. They've got a good family. They got whatever. There's what do I need him for?
Yeah.
Everything's going good. I'm doing just fine without him. And it's like, ooh, maybe right now, I mean, on the surface, you are, but wow, you're sure going to need him,
Yeah, or the people who go to church every week and do, like, the church thing, but don't get it. Like, you can...
Yeah.
The way they live their life doesn't reflect... Do you know what... I don't know
love for God. I mean, there's...
Yeah.
We talked about last week was the obedience thing. Showing love for God is obeying his commands, and then showing up and just doing the church thing and playing the part of someone who's church, but is not obeying God with his lifestyle during the week, is not showing love for God. And
I think that's the hardest situation, one of them, because they think they're fine. Like, oh, I go to church, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I got my ticket in, but like,
yeah.
I've
checked.
How do you tell? Like, actually.
Yeah, well, but that is a problem too, because I mean, you don't. I mean, because you don't want to be the judgment guy, like, and you're not called to judge people. That's not really your deal, Now, if
we can.
Well, go ahead.
Well, where is that verse? Do you know where that verse is?
Yeah, a few weeks ago in Matthew.
Like your brother or sister in Christ.
5, 6.
Yeah, I mean, you're not to be the role of God as judge, but you are to make judgments, so that you can identify places where people need help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not your job to bow out and say, "Look, dude, I don't judge, your scandalous behavior." You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you're doing scandalous behavior. We need to talk about this. That's it's not only not a judgment, it's responsibility.
Yeah. Not for the purpose of, haha, I caught you,
right?
But
it's looking out. For
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's maybe that's the most of the hesitance here is the misconception of your motives, or maybe some people's the way that they bring it to fruition, Like, I mean, there's a way to talk to somebody about stuff they got going on. And I mean, obviously, we talk about this all the time. Everybody's fails. My lifestyle, I don't think probably correctly represents the Lord's, lifestyle for me. A majority of it goes pretty good, but I mean, there's times obviously people will look at me and say that man does not know Christ. And so, you can't take, everybody at the sinless part of their life, but I mean, on the other hand, I mean, people call me to the table about that. I mean, I have an LTG group that does that specifically. The whole point of the group is to say, look, what do you got going on? I want to know what you've been doing this week. That's showing other people that you don't have a relationship with Christ. And then we got to work on it. It's got to get better than this.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I found is and I have friends that when we're talking about the reaching the unreachable, it's I feel like I have a really hard time finding an appropriate way to even start a conversation. I feel like I'm doing the disservice by not having the conversation, but I also have a pretty good idea of where they sit or used to. And so, like, I'll even find myself doing things that really just embarrass me. Like, I'm a little looser with my tongue around some of these folks. I do things. I'll laugh at stuff that otherwise I don't really find appropriate or funny. Like, as if I'm trying to smooth the way into the lifestyle. It's like, I follow Christ, but I'm still
one of you.
Yeah, I
can still say bad words.
And like I found myself like noticing that more and more lately, where I'm like, what is the deal here? Like, why? And I think the thing is because I don't know any other. I'm trying to avoid the direct interaction.
Yeah.
The direct talk. And it's not like your God calls you to be creepy and like weirded people out and showing up their door with crosses and Bibles and stuff. Like, it's not what we're talking about.
They open the door, you drop them in.
Hey, when I was first started preaching, it's been in 1984. 1953.
I guess 57. Sorry.
Yeah, 1984 was my first year. And
hi, I'm the Dan. I know the Lord.
Exactly. Do you want to know Jesus? I got all the answers. And it was on a little church on the east side, or on East 27th Court in Cleveland. All right, remember that one, little white one? You guys are familiar with it? And everything changes through time. But back in the 50s, you just knocked on doors and said, "Hey, do you know Jesus?" And so I was a young buck, and I thought, I'm just going to go through this neighborhood and knock on everybody's door. And we had all these days picked out, and some friends and I, we went, door to door knocking on these total strangers' houses. And, hey, can we talk to you about Jesus? And they're like, no. All right, then. Well, thank you.
Yep, direct question, direct answer.
And it didn't take long to go, man, that is stupid. Who ever did that? And it works for the Mormons. Why can't it work for us? And then it works 1% for the Mormons. And back then, I don't know what the current statistics are. So they keep going at it, and they have 1 million knocks a year from all their missionaries out there. Then 100,000.
You're gonna find somebody, huh?
Yeah, I mean 1% is gonna. Is 100,000 1% of 1 million? Did I do my decimal?
No, that's 10%.
1,000.
Yeah, 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
So you grow by 1,000 every million door knocks, and I don't know how many people they have out there.
I don't know. Pretty good odds for. I mean, just throwing it out there, but isn't it better to have caught the 1,000?
Casting a wide net, I'd say.
Yeah, but so we took other approaches. I was a hospice chaplain in Cass County, and the whole reason I did that was because I thought, people are getting near the end of their life. Who more would want Jesus than the person who is facing death, saying, "Wow, what if everything I believed in the past isn't true?"
Right.
And I was going to just save the whole world, and it was going to be the greatest thing in the world. I was just going to walk in their door and brighten their day and say, "You know what? You're about to meet your maker, and let me introduce you to him." And I mean, it wasn't quite that harsh with them, but I learned pretty quick. People die the way they live.
Yeah.
Unless they have a real heart change. I mean, I'd come in and say, and have little great conversations with them, and they were just like, I didn't need God before. I don't need him now. And that would just totally break my heart. I just left depressed. I did that for several years, actually, and finally I backed out of it. So, I'm not helping anybody. There's a few believers who I'm helping, but they already had pastors.
Right.
What do they need me for? And I was trying to reach the person who just didn't know, and they were just like, "Nah, don't need it. Not interested."